Have you ever just stopped and thought about the sheer number of plants out there? I mean, from the grass in your backyard to the produce at the grocery store, it's a massive, beautiful, and honestly, kind of overwhelming green kingdom. So the big question is, how on earth do we make sense of it all? And I'm not exaggerating. We're talking about nearly 400,000 known species. That number is just staggering. If someone handed you a giant living puzzle with that many pieces, where would you even begin to sort it out? Well, you start with a blueprint. Actually, it's more like you start with several different blueprints, because how you see a single plant, any plant, really depends on the lens you're looking through. Each way of classifying them gives us a totally unique perspective, a different blueprint for understanding what it is and what it does. So let's explore some of these blueprints.
Okay, our first blueprint is the scientific one. This is all about the plant's core identity. It's pure biology. This is how a scientist sees a plant based on its fundamental traits, completely separate from whatever we humans might use it for.
And one of the most basic ways to classify a plant scientifically is just by looking at its lifespan. How long does it live? How does it make more of itself? This simple question gives us three huge categories.
First up, we've got the annuals. You can think of these as the live fast, die young crowd of the plant world. They go from seed to flower to making their own seeds all in one single season. Think about the big crops that feed the planet: corn, wheat, rice. We have to plant them every single year because that's just their nature. Then you've got the biennials. These guys take a bit more of a patient approach. They play the long game over 2 years. The first year is all about growing, storing up energy in their leaves and roots. Then, in year 2, they finally use that energy to flower and produce seeds. A lot of our common vegetables, like carrots and onions, are actually biennials.
And finally, we have the perennials. These are the marathon runners, the long haulers of the plant kingdom. They live for more than 2 years, coming back again and again, season after season. This includes everything from a beautiful hibiscus in your garden to giant apple trees and banana plants. Now, what's really cool is that the life cycle is just scratching the surface of the scientific blueprint. Scientists can go way deeper. They can classify plants based on their very first leaves as a seedling, whether they're monocots or dicots, or they can look at the exact chemical process they use for photosynthesis. And of course, there's the classic botanical system from Linnaeus, which is like a giant detailed family tree for all plants. We're not going to get lost in the weeds there, but it just shows you how incredibly detailed this blueprint can be. Okay, time to switch gears completely. Let's put down that scientific blueprint and pick up a new one. This one isn't about what a plant is biologically, but what it does for us. This is the human use blueprint, and it's all about a plant's job in our world. This blueprint basically splits into 2 giant fields: agronomy and horticulture. And, the easiest way to get your head around the difference is just to think about scale. Agronomy is massive. We're talking huge fields of wheat or corn that stretch for miles. Horticulture, on the other hand, is more hands-on, more intensively managed stuff, like what you'd find in an orchard, a vegetable garden, or a greenhouse. So if we're looking through that agronomy lens, plants get sorted by their huge economic roles. We've got the grain crops, the absolute foundation of our food supply. We've got fiber crops for our clothes, oil crops for cooking, and sugar crops for, well, you know what those are for. It's basically classifying plants by industry. Now, on the horticulture side of things, it gets a little more personal, right? It's all about what kind of plant we're growing. So if you're growing vegetables, welcome to the world of olericulture. If you're all about fruits, that's called pomology. And if you're growing plants just because they're beautiful, like flowers or shrubs, then you're practicing floriculture. All right, for our third and final blueprint, we're going to look at a plant's relationship with its home, with its environment. This is the environmental blueprint, and it sorts plants based on how they're built to survive in their natural surroundings. So, what does a plant need to thrive? Does it absolutely love water, a hydrophyte? Or can it handle a serious drought, like a xerophyte? Does it need the intense heat of the tropics, or does it prefer the cooler, temperate zones? I mean, some plants are even classified by how many hours of daylight they need before they'll start to flower. It's all about their survival strategy.
Okay, so we've got these 3 totally different blueprints: the scientific, the human use, and the environmental. Let's pull this all together and see how it works in the real world with a plant we all know, the carrot.
First, let's put on our scientist hat. Through that scientific blueprint, we look at its 2-year life cycle, and we classify it as a biennial. Simple as that. It's a biological fact. But, hold on, we don't usually wait 2 years for our carrots, do we? We pull them up in the first year to eat them. So from our human use blueprint, specifically from horticulture, we call it a vegetable. It's part of olericulture.
And we can even zoom in further with that same human use lens. Whether we're talking about a huge farm or just what's on our plate, we call it a root crop. Why? Because the part we eat is the plant's main root.
And last but not least, our environmental blueprint. Carrots love cooler weather. You're not going to find them growing wild in the tropics. So, based on its climate preference, it's classified as a temperate crop.
So just look at that. One plant, the humble carrot, and we've got 4 completely different but equally true labels for it. Biennial, vegetable, root crop, and temperate crop. Each blueprint doesn't cancel the others out. It just tells a different part of the carrot story.
So, the next time you see a plant, whether it's in a park, a garden, or your own kitchen, just remember it's not just one thing. It's a biological organism, it's a potential resource for us, and it's a master of its own environment, all at the same time. The real question isn't just what a plant is, but how do you choose to see it? Which blueprint will you use?